This is the back piece. So on the back piece, I've left half of an inch allowance around this pattern, as you can see. Half of an inch here, half of an inch on this area, half of an inch at the top. And I've also made the markings for my darts, you can see. Can you see it? However, on the hemline, I've left 2 inches allowance for folding, and I've notched it on both sides. Don't know if you can see it. 2 inches here for hemming, and that's the only place I've left 2 inches. Every other place has half of an inch seam allowance. So that's my back piece. This is my front piece as well, and I've also done the same thing, half of an inch seam allowance all around, except for the hemline where I have left 2 inches seam allowance for the hemline. Lining part of the pocket piece. So for this, I've cut 2 for the opposite sides, for the 2 opposite sides of my front piece of my trouser. So the other piece of the trouser also, I have cut 2 pieces as well. Note that for the trouser pattern, I also cut 2 pieces for the back and 2 pieces for the front, so there are 2 each. Okay, so this is the pocket piece, and I cut 2 pieces. You can see this, 2 separate pieces. I also did the same for the front and back trouser pieces. Here I have my waistband. So if you watch my video on waistband, you will notice that I cut a waistband for a trouser that has a front zipper. However, this trouser is going to have a zipper by the side. Okay, so that is why I just use one part of the front waistband. Okay, the part that doesn't have the overlap. If you watched the video, you understand what I'm talking about. So I've gone ahead to make use of the parts that did not have the overlap, the front waistband parts that did not have the overlap, and I cut it on fold. You can see this part is on fold. Can you see it? This is on fold, and I cut 2 pieces as well. Can you see? One piece here, another piece, both are on fold. That is for my front waistband, and for my back waistband as well. I cut 2 pieces because I'm using one to turn the other. So that's all. I've transferred all the patterns to fabric and added the needed allowance. For the waistband, I already added the seam allowance to the pattern, so I just cut directly. That is why you will notice that there is no seam allowance. Okay, there's no seam allowance sticking around all around the pattern. I've already added it while I was cutting the pattern. I'm going to start with my front trouser piece. So I will just take out the pattern. Taking out the pattern, and you can see I have 2 pieces now, 2 front pieces, and now this is the side of the pocket. So here's what I'm going to be doing. So this is the part of the pocket I'm going to be starting with. You can see this side, this part that has the same shape as I have here. So what I'll do is this. I'm going to be working with one side first to avoid any confusion. So what I'm going to do is look at how this the pocket is facing. Look at the way the trouser piece is facing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this. Okay, I'll place this here, right side facing right side, like the right side of this pocket piece facing the right side of this front trouser piece. Okay, so I'll place it like this and I'll pin it down. So here I have the pocket piece pinned to the front trouser pattern like this. You can see. Can you see it? So I have it pinned down. So what I'm going to do now is I'll head over to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew from this point here. I'll sew half of an inch. Remember, I left half of an inch sewing allowance on this side. So I'm going to be sewing half of an inch from here all the way up here. So I've sewn these 2 pieces together, as you can see. This is what it looks like. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make tiny notches all around this seam allowance. And then I'm going to be top stitching this part. That is the part that is the pocket side. I'll be top stitching it on this side here. I'll top stitch it all the way down to from where I started sewing to the end. So I'm going to be top stitching on the side of the pocket, not on the side of the front trouser piece. I hope that's clear. So I've top stitched it. So next I'll go and iron it like this. Can you see? I'll take it to my ironing table and I'll iron, and I'll equally do the same for the opposite side. I've top stitched and I've ironed it. This is what it looks like. Look at the inside. This is what the inside part looks like, and this is what the outside looks like. You can see how nicely finished it looks. Okay, let me bring it closer so you can have a closer look. And this is the inside. So next I'm going to be attaching the other part of my pockets, which is this part. And you see this part that has a curved side and a straight side here. So you take your trouser, and this curved side will be on the side of your trouser. Okay, so it's going to be like this. You place it like this, make it to match. It should match up with the waist side and as well as this hip side. So this is what it should be like. Now, when placing this part, you want to make sure that the right side is facing you. Okay, so this right side is facing me now. Then I'll place this part. The right side of your trouser part, and also your trouser rather, should be facing you as well. So the right side of the trouser is facing me. The right side of this pocket is facing me as well. Okay, so I'm going to pin it down. This pins together, as you can see. I've secured it with my pins here. This is the front, the right side, of course, facing me. So now I'm going to turn it to the back, and I'll show you what we'll be doing. So this is what the back looks like. Can you see? You can see the two pocket pieces now are now visible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be pinning these two pocket pieces together. So I'll pick up these two pocket pieces. Can you see? I'm holding the two pocket pieces, both the inner one and the outer one, and I'm going to pin them down together. I'm going to start from here, holding the two pocket pieces together from the edge here, and I'll sew all the way here, corner, come up here, and still holding them together. I'm going to sew. I'll take out this pin so that I'll be able to sew it down. So I'll sew it together with half of an inch. So I'll sew from here all the way to here, only on the pocket piece. I'm not sewing it together with the trouser, the front piece of the trouser. Okay, so I'll sew it and show you. So here I've sewn it, and I've also overlocked it, as you can see. So next thing I'll go ahead to do is I'll flip it to the front again, and then I'm going to be sewing this place down. You can see here it's open. When I take off the pin, it's going to be loose. So I'm just going to sew it down this way. This is the waist area. So I'll sew it down like this with about half of an inch, and then I'll come to the side as well. Can you see this place is open as well? We don't want it to remain like that, so I'm going to sew it down as well. I'll just run a stitch from the end of my pocket downwards to the end, to this other end of the pocket. So I've sewn it down, as you can see. I've secured it with a stitch on this side, on the hip side, as well as on the waist side. I'll equally do the same for the opposite side. So I've put the front piece aside, and we're going to work a little bit on the back piece. So this is the back piece here. You can see my darts and lines that I've marked. So I'm going to be sewing in the darts. So here's my dart. I've sewn it down, as you can see, and I've ironed it flat to one side. This is the inside of the back piece. Iron my darts down. You can see how it looks on the outside. So you will notice also that this part, let me just lay it flat on the table so you can understand. You notice that this curved part, I have added interfacing to it. I added hasty to it. This is to prevent the fabric from stretching when I'm sewing this part, because if this part stretches when you sew, then it's going to affect the outcome and the shape of your trouser. So to avoid that and to prevent any further stretch, I just applied interfacing to this part. I also did same on the opposite side. You can see I did same on the opposite side, as well as for the front as well. On the front, I've done the same thing. So I did same for the front, and also the zipper is going to be on the side, on the right side of this trouser. So on that part where the zipper is going to be, I also interfaced it so that to control the fabric so it doesn't stretch. Okay, so I applied, this is the part where my zipper is going to start from an end, so I applied interfacing to all that part. I did same for the back piece as well, the part that is going to have the zipper. I interfaced it. So now I'm going to be joining my back piece, one side of my back piece. So this is the wrong side and it's facing me. So what I'm going to do now is I'll flip it, and you can see that it's the side that has the zipper in the part for where I'm going to be placing my zipper. So I'm going to face it the right side. The right side is now going to be facing me. So next I'm going to take the corresponding front side. This is the corresponding front side, and then I'm going to place it on top of it like this. Now the wrong side of the front is facing me now, you can see. So it's now staying right side facing right side, okay, while the wrong side of the front faces me. So what I'm going to do is, the first side I'm going to be joining is this side, this outer seam side. I hope you can see it. So I'm going to be joining the outer seam side. So I'll just pin it down. I'll pin both for this side and for the other side. Then I'll head over to my sewing machine and I'm going to be sewing. So when I start sewing on this side, from the waist here, on this zipper place, I'm going to sew. I'm not going to reverse stitch it. Like, I will just start sewing, I won't reverse. I'll sew all the way to this part where my zipper is supposed to stop, then I will reverse, then I'll continue sewing. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to be loosening the stitch I'm going to make here, so that I can install my zipper. So I'm going to sew all the way down to the end, the hemline. Okay, I'm going to do same for the opposite side as well. Although for the opposite side, I'm going to reverse when I start sewing. That is at the waistline. I'll sew a reverse, then sew all the way down, because there's no zipper on that side. So I've gone ahead to join this part of my trouser, this side, outer seam side, and I've also overlocked it. And after that, I went ahead to open the seam, iron the seams open. You can see, ironed it flat, and also ironed the outside part of it. Okay, so this part is joined. So the next part I'm going to be joining, by the way, I did the same for the opposite side as well. So the next part I'm going to be joining is this part, this in seam part. Okay, I'm also going to be joining with half of an inch. So mind you that I joined this outer seam side with half of an inch, because of course I left half of an inch seam allowance, and I also went ahead to overlock it so it looks neat on the inside. And now I'm going to be joining the inseam area with half of an inch as well. So the inseam is this part. So I will hold this the front part and the inseam side of the front and the inseam side of the back. I'll hold them together. I'll pin it together, and then I'll sew half of an inch from here all the way downwards, and I'll repeat the same step for the other side, that is the opposite side. I joined the inner seam part of my trouser, and I've also overlocked it and ironed the seams open. So the next part we're going to be joining is this part. Okay, so I'll get the other piece. Here I have the two opposite pieces, as you can see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip them over to the outside. So here I have the two of them flipped to the right side. So what I'm going to do is this inner seam joining. I'm going to locate the two inner seam joining, and then I'm going to match the two of them together. Like this part, I'm going to match it where this part is joined here and where this part is joined. I'm going to match it together and I'll pin it. Okay, so now I have it pinned, that joint, I have it pinned here. So what I'm going to do is this part of the front here, I'm going to pin from the waist all the way to the part where I have pinned first. Can you see? You can see I interfaced that area, so it's not confusing. So this is the front here. I'm going to pin it all the way to where I had the first pin. I'm equally going to do the same thing for the back. Pin all the way to the waist, or from the waist to where I started pinning at first. Okay, so I have it all pinned. I'm just going to turn it back to the wrong side so that you can see where I pinned clearly. So this is what it looks like here in the on the front side, and when you turn it to the back, this is what it looks like pinned. So I'm going to sew from here now, from this back waist. I'll sew half of an inch all the way here and all the way up here to the waist of the front. Okay, so I'll sew half of an inch, just as I have done for every other place, because I left half of an inch seam allowance. The trouser, I've joined it all the way to the back, as you can see, and I've overlocked it and ironed the seams open as well. Okay, see how nice and neat it looks. So the next thing we're going to be doing is we'll have to add the waistband. So this is the waistband. Okay, but before we add the waistband, there's something we need to do. Remember the part where our zipper is going to go? Remember I told you the zipper is going to be on the side. So remember this part where the zipper is supposed to go. I'm going to loosen all the way to the part where I am reverse stitched or double stitched. I'm going to loosen all the way there to where my zipper is supposed to stop. So after loosening it, then I'll go ahead to fix my waistband. I've opened up the zipper side and I have my waistbands here, and this is the waistband for the back and this is the one for the front. So what I want to do is I want to determine which part, my waistband, each of them are in 2 pieces. I have 2 pieces for the front and 2 pieces for the back. So I would want to determine for both the front and the back, which one goes inside. Is going to be sitting on the inside of my trouser. So let me start with the back waistband. I'm just going to place it in such a way that the right side is facing me. Okay, so I'll place it. This is the front side of my trouser and this is the back side. So for the back, I'll place it in such a way that and the right side faces me. So this is the part. This is how I know that this part goes inside for the waistband. Okay, so I'll just get a pen and mark and indicate it. So I'm just going to label this I. So I know that this part goes inside. So for the front waistband, I'm also going to I'll place it like this, but this time around for the front waistband, the part that goes inside, the wrong side should be facing me. Okay, so the wrong side is facing me, so I know this part goes inside. So I'm going to mark this eye as well, so I'm able to identify it when I'm sewing. What I'm going to do is, first, I'll take the other side for the front, the opposite side for the front. I'll place it together. I'll place it together, right side facing right side. And then I'll sew the top of it. This is the top. The smaller side is the top. The part that is smaller is the top. So I'll sew by 1/2 inch. So after sewing, I'm going to be top stitching on the part that is inside. That's why I marked it. So the part I'm going to be top stitching is the part that goes inside the trouser. So I'll equally do the same for the back waistband. I'll place it right side facing right side, and then I'm going to join it at the top here and then top stitch the side that goes inside. So I'm starting with the back waistband. So I'll sew this 1/2 inch here. Some cuts on the part I've sewn. Please be careful not to cut on the place you have sewn already. So next I'm going to be top stitching the part that is going inside, that is this part. So I'll top stitch it. So when top stitching, this part you've sewn should go to the side you are top stitching. So I have my front waistband and back waistband all sewn together. So what I'm going to do now is I'll take my trouser here and then I'll place it like this. Take note that this is the part where I'm going to be fixing my zipper. Can you see it? So I'll take the front waistband first. This is the front waistband. Yeah, this is the front. Making sure that the part I want to be inside is facing inside. I'll place it like this. I'll also take the back waistband, making sure the part I want to be inside is facing me. Okay, the part you want to be inside should be facing you because of course the back is underneath. So now I know that I should be joining this. This is the side of my waistband. So the side of my waistband I should be joining now should be this side because the zipper side is on this side. So I'm not going to be joining that side. I'll be joining just one side, which is this side, which the zipper is not on. Okay, so I will just take note of it from here and pin it up. So I know I'm joining this part I pinned. So I'll join it by 1/2 inch. I've joined it. Joined the side of my waistband, as you can see. So I'm going to be cutting the allowance I have here as much as possible so that that part will not be too bulky. So I'll still iron it open, iron that part open, then I'm going to close it up like this, making sure that the parts I want to be inside is facing the inside and the part I want to be outside is outside. So I'm going to iron the waistline. I'll iron it down like this and I'll show you. I had to iron this waistband, this band area, this waist area of the waistband. I've ironed it down and it's now laying flat and smooth. So you will notice that now this is the inside, this is the part that goes inside the trouser, and this is the part that goes outside. So you'll notice now the part that is going to stay outside seems shorter than the part that is going to stay inside. I don't know if you can see it. You can see this is slightly longer. The one on the inside is coming out, is sticking out from under, and the reason is because while I was ironing, I slightly pushed the inside a little bit further. So I did not iron on the seam line, like I pushed it in a bit, so the in so that the top stitch will not show. Okay, so when you're ironing, you want to do the same thing. Make sure you push it in just a little bit, maybe like by 0.25, or not even up to 0.25, 0.1 and of an inch. Just push it in a little bit, such that the inner waistband is slightly sticks out slightly more than the outer waistband. Okay, so now we're going to be pinning it to our trouser. I'll place it like this. This is the part that is going to be open because of our zipper. So I'll place it like this, and then I'll open this part up. Okay, make sure that the part that is supposed to go outside, the part that's supposed to be seen outside, is the part you should pin to the trouser. So okay, so this is the side seam of the waistband, and this is the side seam of the trouser. So you just pin that side seam, the side seam of the waistband, to the side seam of the trouser. That is what you should pin first. So now you're going to pin the rest, pin it all the way to pin the front side all the way to where you have the zipper and stop. Pin the back side all the way to where you have the zipper and stop. Pin it all around the waist area up to this zipper area. So I'm going to be sewing half of an inch from one zip allowance side to the other zipper side on the back. I'm going to be sewing it round by half of an inch because that is how much seam allowance I have allowed there. So I'm going to be sewing half of an inch, and I'm going to be sewing. When I start sewing now, this place is going to be open. Please do not sew it closed like this. Sew it opened up. See, I've joined the waistband to the waistline of my trouser. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll head over to my ironing table and I'll iron this part that I just joined flat. So while ironing, I'm going to make sure that this part I just joined is upright, like it goes into the waistband. Can you see? It doesn't stay this way, but goes into the waistband like this. Okay, I had to iron my waistband, and you can see it's nicely ironed. And I've also ironed the inside part of my waistline facing upright. You can see it's upright here. And now I'm going to go ahead and fix my zipper. I'm going to be fixing an invisible zipper on this side. Okay, so I'm going to be fixing that off camera, but if you want me to do a video on how to install an invisible zipper, please comment that in the comment section, and I'll be sure to make a video on that. So I'll just quickly fix my invisible zipper and I'll be back. I have my zipper installed, as you can see. I have my zipper installed on this side. So what I need to do now is to I'm just going to unzip it, what it looks like when you unzip. So I still need to finish off this edge. So what you need to do now is to fold this zipper, this part of your zipper that is sticking out here, just fold it inside. By the way, you can use whatever zipper you choose. I'm choosing to use invisible zipper because I like the finish. So you just fold it in like this, and then you sew it down here. Can you see? I've closed up this part. So I'm going to cut this excess fabric out because I don't want that part to be bulky. So now I'm going to turn it. See that here this part is still loose, opened and loose. So we're going to take care of that. So take care of that. What we're going to do is we're going to be running a stitch here, like in between this waistband and the fabric of the trouser, like here, this fold here. Inside this fold, you want to be careful take your time while running the stitch so that it doesn't come out and it's not visible. So you want to run a stitch inside. So while running the stitch, this part is going to be laying flat. So when you finish running the stitch, it's going to hold this other part down. Maybe when I'm done doing it, it will make more sense. So I'm just going to run the stitch here, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. I had to sew in the to stitch up this place, and you can't see anything no matter how closely you look, which is how it should be, because I have sewn inside here, just in between here. So I've run the stitch, but when you turn to the back, you can see the stitch. Can you? So here's the stitch here at the back, but it's not supposed to be visible in front so that your finishing can be really neat. I'm gonna have to fold the hemline as well. I overlocked the edges, then I folded it by the amount of allowance, which is 2 inches that I left. So I used hemming gum to fold it in. But if you like, you can just sew your own. You can use your sewing machine to sew it, but I do not like the finishing that the sewing machine gives to it, so I just decided to use my hemming gum. You can also hand stitch it or tack. Also notice that here I used the fabric to finish off the edges of this waistband on the inside.